Greetings and welcome. I am Joffrey, and joining me today is Jocko Dan. We're both developers on Realms in Exile. Myself is a normal dev, but Jocko is one of our esteemed lead developers. Oh. And today
Ooh,
we
yeah.
are here. Today we are here to discuss the newest dev diary for CK3, which apparently will include talking about a new start date, message settings, and more. Now, Jocko has read through it beforehand, so he has been spoiled as he always does. But I do not know, so I'll be reading this for the first time as we go through. Uh, I shall make. Sorry, I forgot to make a post in my announcements. There we go. Hi, and Adonaic to you as well. Arna's here. Right. We've not had the pleasure of meeting before. That's because joined Paradox last year, almost working almost exclusively on the new start date and its two bookmarks. Wow, Cordelian. Jeez. That will be releasing as a part of the free update alongside Rose to Power, which and I know I am actually quite intrigued to see. I know Jocko and I have spoken about like, ooh, what are the Plantagenets going to look like and such, but
Yeah.
I closely can't overstate just how happy I am to see people excited by it. Yes, well, we very much are excited. And so today it will be my pleasure and honor to give you a closer look. The who, what, when, where, and why. Explain. Oh, lots of text. Oh, where are the pictures? I want some pictures too. I'm a. Oh God. Oh God. Whew. All right. Whew. Whew. All right. Obvious question. No, must be asking why this start date specifically is 1178. That's a very great question. Unlike the other start dates, it isn't known for major history-defining events, but there are a few things in its favor. One thing is that interesting who will be alive and what interesting things can happen in the time. Options for worthy historical figures. So there's a back and forth conversation. Can't live. Who we're willing to consider an acceptable, though unfortunate sacrifice. Put subway surfers in the box. You're right. You're right. That will make it much more tolerable for the what is the new generation? I don't know. It's after Zoomer. Is it Gen Alpha? I think it's Gen Alpha. My poor little half brother is a Gen Alpha. Did you miss anything cool? I don't know. Lots of text. Lots of text. I'm gonna try to speed read through the best that I am capable, which is not that great. I'm not that great at everyone's like, yeah, Gen Alpha, yeah, those guys. So we knew, for example, that we wanted to have the Crusader states, particularly Jerusalem under Baldwin the Fourth, which gives you preliminary range of 1174. So that was the main thing they wanted to get in, and that's interesting. They picked it specifically for Baldwin. I can't complain. They've got that
Yeah.
disfigured mask that you get. It's like, oh, I mean,
I mean, oh yeah, that's true.
he's the guy. He of all
I
people in history, he is Mr. Face Mask. Cringe stater states. Cringe stater
yeah,
states, am I right?
I do hope this means that they have like similar to what they did with Matilda in their latest like patch, like they do have like some intro events and so forth for Baldwin the Fourth.
I do.
Because I swear if they're like, oh yeah, we chose this bookmark because of him, no content for him, that's gonna that's gonna just be sad.
Uh, I really do. Yeah, it's a good point, Blank. I agree. I really don't like the disfigured mask. It exists, but I think it looks crapo. Crapo slappo. I want more. I want better ones.
Honestly,
Distinguish it
they
by
should just
culture or
make
something too. Wouldn't that be neat? Get different
Yeah,
kinds of
they should just
masks.
make the Persian mask the default one. That thing looks nice.
I want I want my sub-Saharan African some goof-tastic
Wooden
looking
mask.
wooden carved mask. Yeah. That's a famous thing in a lot of places in sub-Saharan Africa. Not everywhere, but you know. It's just it's one of those things you think of.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
probably the worst graphic in the game. It's one of them for sure. It's honestly just dreadful, and the way that like the way it morphs around certain people's faces is terrible. Like if you've got a big nose, ugh.
Yeah, yeah. And just it clips through every clothing item. It's like, oh yeah, you have a cloak. Well, yeah, now it's just gonna like merge with the mask into some abomination.
Do then we thought it could be it could be good to have Heinrich the Lion as Duke of Saxony, and a rival counterweight to the Holy Roman Emperor of Frederick Barbarossa. Barbarossa's around at this time. Oh, there's so many people there's so many like historical figures. It's like, oh, you know all these people exist, but you don't know when. That's crazy to think they're alive at the same time. Huh. I mean,
Yeah,
but
it is. It it is pretty insane just to think like, damn, these like 50 historical figures were just all alive at the same time, and the only thing that separated them was like a few hundred miles.
maybe Barbarossa could have met Baldwin if he didn't come down with a bad case of wearing plate armor in a river.
Yeah,
Um,
and Baldwin just patching that L with leprosy like that.
yeah,
Just put more stats into vigor, honestly.
yeah. As Jocko was saying that he does like the Persian mask. Yes, just make that the default one. It's got like the mustache
Yeah,
on it
yeah.
too. It's funny. Uh, uh. So yes, before when Heinrich was deposed, just imagine doing this with a few more names, and you should have a reasonably solid picture of the calculus involved. I see. However, that's not to say that this was our sole consideration. Although it certainly has accounted for a healthy amount of the discussion, another factor that heavily influenced our choice was that we wanted to make sure that any new start date would be in a good position to integrate not only the new mechanics being introduced in Roads to Power, but also a wide range of components of potential future expansions going forward, whatever they may be. Yeah. That's very good. Um, they have with CK3 so far done a better, not perfect. They've had some slip ups so far, but for the most part, they've done a very good job of improving Paradox's previous failings when it comes to DLC, where they just spew out new, unrelated elements to the game, where DLC would come out and it would just all be paid, and all of it has to be as disconnected from future content as possible to make it so that you can mix and match DLC. And that worked terribly and inevitably broke down. But in CK3, so far, they've done a pretty darn good job of making the paid elements extra and the base elements build up the foundation of the game that new things, new expansions and start dates and such can make use of. And that's been good though.
Yeah, that has been. It's one thing that I think I will always argue for in the favor of Paradox when it comes to CK3. It's like, sure, they have like pretty abysmal prices and some of the mechanics are debatable, but they have stuck to what they've said they would do from the start, which was do a way better DLC policy in terms of what you said. The free parts is the mechanics and so forth is almost always built upon later and added upon later and ties into later DLC content, which is always appreciated because I mean it just helps to like further, like the next DLC I buy, I'm like, oh yeah, cool content, new content. But this also affects my old content, so it brings a new element to the old content, which is always great, in my opinion.
Now, Now, what I don't remember is what elements of Legends of the Dead were paid versus free. So it's
The
hard to judge
Legends.
that. The Legends were the paid ones specifically, and the
Yeah, yeah. It was literally Legends and um the like a few of some of the Black Death like plague events. Like the Black
hmm.
Death would still happen without paid, but there were like certain events that would be locked behind paid. But that was
I
about
see.
it. The rest was free.
I
Legitimacy, all plagues, etc.
I am scared as a result, yeah. In that case, I am then scared for what they're gonna do in the future for the sake of the people who don't want. Um, I'm somewhat scared for the future of what that DLC is going to do for CK3 in regards to people who don't want to buy new DLC because I believe I heard that Paradox is taking it very seriously. The fact that people really did not think that it was worth the price. The paid content was worth the price, which means that they might start trying to make more of the base game elements paid.
Yeah,
They
I
see.
think that like yeah, this is what we talked about the other day. I can't remember if it was on stream, but
I
I
think
remember
so.
you and me talked about it, where it was like the community really just shot itself in the foot. Like your opinion on whether the paid content was worth the price or not is irrelevant. Your opinion should be on whether the free stuff was worth it, because the DLC pays for the free content. That's what that's why you're buying the DLC. You're not buying the DLC. Okay, yeah, sure, you're buying the DLC for the extra content, but you're doing it to fund the more free stuff that can be added in the future. And that's always been like CK3's goals. I can't talk to other Paradox games. But because like you said, like the big outrage with Legends of the Dead, people were like, "Oh yeah, it was way too expensive." I mean, sure, but you received 70% of the DLC for free. Are you really expecting that the fact you're paying for 30% to be another 100% like new DLC? It's I don't know. I think people
Uh,
I think there's deserved criticism, but I think they're criticizing the wrong thing.
Now, Zeltron, it's true that the rest are core mechanics that you can't really play without when it gets added. However, that might change because because I think that the best way to consider it when you're purchasing a Paradox DLC for CK3 with the way they're handling this, they're trying their best to add a lot of it in the free update so that it can build up on the base of the game, this just core experience that you don't have to pay for, so they can make more DLC and such that expands on it. But if people don't want to pay the price for what they're making the actual paid stuff, then they're going to feel more forced to take certain elements away from the core experience and make them paid so that people consider it more worthwhile. Now, I will buy until unless the game starts actively becoming bad. I will buy all of the DLC, even though Legends of the Dead's paid content is not. So it's not worth the price for me. I I'm scared to make too much of a complaint about it because taken as a whole, the update was good, very good, and something that we wanted. But anyway, so it is. But the new bookmark being paid is definitely that is definitely something they would make paid because that's not a core experience modifying thing. Essentially, that is something that yeah, if you paid for this, I imagine that it's like oh well, if you want this extra bookmark, you pay for this. Um, I guess the only other thing that could be monetized reasonably is the type of theme. Huh.
I mean,
Damn, yeah, that's the
well,
tricky thing. I don't know.
I will say there was, and do take this with a grain of salt because it was said by a community manager on a mod co-op. But on the Crusader Kings 3 mod co-op, where like mod developers are located on, um, one of the community managers, Trinex, said that, let me quickly get the post, but it hinted towards admin government being paid and potentially a few things Okay, here. Let me quickly read this post. Regarding paid versus free content roads to power, we're looking at the approach we took with Fate of Iberia. The mechanics are the base game itself and open to modders, but the implementation of those mechanics is paywalled. We'd like to build upon these systems and use them elsewhere in the game in the future, and it's really damn hard to do that if we're limiting the potential user base to RTP owners. Again, pointing at Fate of Iberia. The way we handled that meant we could use the same framework again for Legacy of Persia without needing you to own two unrelated DLC to play with the new stuff. Mods should be able to benefit from most, if not all, of what we're doing with this expansion without worrying about locking out people who didn't buy it. And then they go on to explain. And okay, here. And then someone asked, if I recall correctly, the Iberian struggle was locked behind the DLC, but the struggle mechanic itself wasn't, right? And then Trenex, just to confirm, PDX Trenex is a employer. He's employed by Paradox. And then Trenex responded, yep, that's pretty much what we're doing here with admin government. When responding to, if I recall correctly, the Iberian struggle was locked behind the DLC, but the struggle mechanic itself wasn't right. So it does sound like they're locking admin government behind being paid, but modders will be able to mod admin governments, and if they take apart a system and do their own thing, it'll be open to the public, but admin government itself will be locked. And if you think about how much admin government contains, I mean, admin government is themes, estates, etc., right? So, I mean, it looks like they're pay locking a lot more items than they did in Legends of the Dead due to the lashback they received. And I think it's a fair response because, I mean, by people's reasoning, this would make the DLC actually worth it, right? If you get a completely new government, you get estates, right? You get themes. I mean, I think most people would say that's like a worthwhile like DLC to buy. Whereas if all of that was free and the only like paid stuff was, let's say, the Byzantine content, I think they would get a similar lashback, which isn't fair, but I mean, people are stupid, so.
So in this case, most of the paid content is still going to be something that mods can work with, and you won't need people with the DLC who don't have the DLC won't need to. If say in Realms, I go and make I take oligarchy that I've made, which is basically just feudal but holds cities and has different contracts. If I take oligarchy and then I turn it upside down and with the new stuff that's added and make it like a different version of admin that we use in Realms, and then make a dwarf version of admin as well. Those, for example, would be playable
Yeah,
by people without it.
from
So
what
I
I understand.
theoretically wouldn't need to
But
worry about people being unable to play the dwarves if I just made dwarves use a modified version of admin government. I hope.
yeah, it. But and
No, we're
I
not making
I
Mordor
think
admin. We've had this conversation, Drac. It's not
yeah
happening.
I think my biggest worry in terms for like mods and stuff is because there hasn't been such a debate in a while on the mod co-op, but exactly what is the line between what should we DLC lock if we're taking apart the admin government, right? Because if they're locking admin government, like I said, like admin government is tied to themes, it's tied to estates, right? Or at least estates are tied to the admin government, right? So if we're like, hey, listen, okay, we want to take admin government apart so that we can do something custom and people can have access to these mechanics with other DLC. What exactly is the line between having it be DLC locked between having it free? Should we completely change the structure? Should we change how themes work, or is it like the case of okay, we take themes, we do change like a few of the things, and now we can open it to the public? Or is it like, hey, listen, for estates to be open to the public, you need to have your own custom art, you need your own custom buildings, and everything. If you're using any of the vanilla or the DLC buildings or art, then it needs to be DLC locked. That's my worry, because one includes a lot more work. Because I think in
I'll
the two
make them
DLCs we
anyway.
saw,
Whatever.
yeah, fair enough. Uh,
I got stable
I think
diffusion for the images, and I've got modding experience with buildings for the
exactly.
buildings. I don't fucking care.
exactly. But uh, what's it? Because I think with what we saw in the first two Dev Diaries is that this DLC looks to not only be super heavy with mechanics, but they're going all in with the art as well. They've got some amazing art, but they've got a lot of amazing art, which is my worry because we can replace it definitely,
Jocko,
but
by
it's going to take a
amazing
lot of
art,
replacing.
do you mean the medieval, the classic medieval art that they've got for the like the
Yeah,
backgrounds for
I
the estates
say
and stuff? Because I don't like that. It looks half decent.
I
Like
like
okay, it looks more than half decent. It
I
looks good, but the problem is that it's not something that you can have as a consistent style across the world. So.
Yeah, no, I do agree that the style is inconsistent for the UI, and I've got different thoughts on that.
Mhm.
But I'm like just talking like purely, like if you like ignore the fact that it just completely clashes against any of their previous works. But
No,
like the art itself looks great,
Now, to address this
and
this
uh,
this unruly uprising of foolish individuals in chat who are speaking about making Sauron a bastardized version of admin government where you don't have noble families, but instead you have appointment succession in the themes and stuff. All right, so tell me this: how do you play an orc? If it has appointment succession, you've got no noble estates. How do you play an orc? If an orc has the theme, Sauron has assigned an orc to some random corner of Mordor, but you have no noble estates. When you die, you just lose because he's gonna likely land someone that's not of your house, and you'll just be done. You're like, whoops.
yeah. And if anyone says orcs should have estates, then go play Anbenar or Warhammer. Don't come back. We don't want you.
Get out of here! Screw you!
I am listening to this orc propaganda.
Orc pit estate. Oh, oh God. Okay, no, you can't. Okay, the thing that I keep trying to explain to people, we would never make Sauron admin because it would make. Because first of all, Sauron doesn't go around and say this orc is going to lead this camp of orc. He doesn't care. He could not care less. So the only way you would do it is if it was him picking black Numenorians to oversee the orcs, and we ain't doing that. We ain't just making all of Sauron's vassals black Numenorians. So no, and then you would either need to remove the estates from orcs, which would mean that whenever you don't get assigned a new governorship, you just lose the game, or you do give them estates, and then that means you are now suddenly dealing with a situation where Sauron is having a bunch of noble families of orcs who all trace their lineage and family tree, and then they
Mazog
spend
flashback.
their influence. They spend influence. Yeah, Mazog flashback. Then they spend influence with Sauron to butter him up and say, "Please, Senpai Sauron, notice me. Please give my nephew, my stupid nephew, that title. And oh, I'm Orc Estate. I must build up my wine places. Ooh. Um, could Rune be admin? No, Rune could not be admin because it's the leader. Like I brought up the question of whether Rune could be admin, Medosha Kane, but you don't have. It's very much tribalistic in the regards to outside of the Igath lands. It's very very familial and or tribal focused. Um, Meanwhile, the Igath and you would never have a situation where the Igath on the coast are having like the Lok Khan just be like, I think I'm gonna just have an Azriak govern Mistrand for now for some reason because it's not a governorship. They're all hereditary realms. The Storm Host is actually our best example of someone that would be admin. Half of the Storm Host is administrative in Realms lore, all actually. And Balkumagan specifically, that kingdom is not. But Tolwang is a would be a kingdom tier administrative vassal, with I guess Duca level admin vassals underneath that, as well as us probably needing to rework some of its eastern holdings to potentially make it more administrative in that way. But we'll have to see. Mechanics are key here. Let's figure out the lock. Mechanics are the key. Trig, you're dumb. You're dumb, Trig. I can say that because I know you and you're on the dev team. But you are silly. You are upside down. Wrong think. It don't work. It don't work for Sauron. No. Belikar, no. Belikar would not be either. The only people, basically the only people on the entire map that are like large, proper realms that would be admin as of now would be Belikar and the no, the Stormhost and maybe Ray. Maybe Ray. The
Yeah.
Stormhost definitely. And then dwarves will probably have an adjusted version of admin after I see what can be done with it. Um, I am likely going to go around trying to convince members of the team that let us justify certain realms as we go further east being administrative, and we may even take some elements of administrative and apply them to elves to some degree. But we have yet to see how that would play out in practice. Um, do you play multiplayer? I do play multiplayer. When I can manage to be free enough to. I have a lot of other things that I do on stream and such. So, Jocko, who is the other fellow in the voice call with me, runs a lot of multiplayer games on the Realms in Exile server. However, I keep being unable to attend because I'm too busy playing tabletop games. I've got to run that
Yeah.
Warhammer
Like
RPG, and he keeps begging me
it's
to
like an
come, but I won't.
exact. Yeah. It's like the thing is when every time you join, the amount of people that join just jumps with like 10 players. So it's
Well,
like
I mean, first of all, you've got all the people that I'm playing tabletop with, so that's a fair amount of people already.
yeah,
Um,
it's true, it's true.
Admin hobbits, no. Thani Hazard is not admin either. Dale is not admin. Which is worse, Orc hereditary castles or Orc family manors? The family manors. No, orcs having dynasties in general is bad, but they're needed for gameplay. They're needed for gameplay. If you take it even further and say, orc orc political factions who spend influence to get Sauron to appoint their relatives in charge of places, that's just too much. That's just too much. Um, Orcs desperately need their own government, but the thing is, government modding is basically impossible. If you play like any mod that has government types, they're lying to you. If you've got a mod that like if you've got like Apotheosis for example that has republics playable, they're lying to you. It's not a republic. As soon you can't, it doesn't, like, it just doesn't work. As soon as you make a duchy title, for example, you'll just stop being a republic, and then the way like different people can vote, it just doesn't work. And modding is the governments is impossible right now. I'm terrified that this update isn't going to help it much. I'm hoping that this update will help the modability of governments by a significant margin with some of these new mechanics, but I have yet to see. Hmm. Feudal with an extra step. Good thing the stream was about Dev Diary, not admin government. We base to restore admin government to Gondor. Yeah, Nemcraft, you've seen, like, you've been a part of the conversations on the dev team where we've talked about Gondor being able to restore its administrative ways post Aragorn's return, I believe. We're going to need to adjust the requirements for what I imagine that the Realms mod specifically, we're going to need to adjust what you need to do to become administrative, but um, but yes, Gondor will be able to become admin. We're not going to be disabling that for them. In fact, it's going to be intended that Aragorn does that. Um, Imagine not China before it was destroyed. Uh, in the East, there would be specifically like one maybe two realms in the Far East. I kind of want to try and convince people to let Volma be an admin realm. Volma's not on the map yet, of course, and it won't be for a while, but I kind of want to. What do you think about that, Jocko? If you're
Volmar. I mean,
yeah.
yeah. Sorry. I've been like typing away at the Numenor submod. Um,
Yeah, sorry.
yeah. um, I'm not sure. The thing is, I don't know as much as I would want to about Volmar government stuff. But from what I've heard, when I'm trying to just think back to, it does sound like I'm not so sure on the states for Volmar, but the thing is, you kind of need a state for admin government, right? Because
Otherwise,
otherwise,
it's
it's
not
like game
playable.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you're playing all of a sudden. Yeah, sorry, you can't play it anymore.
So
I,
low
I do think
cost,
if we,
low
I do think
cost
if we,
Rus, the second one, the second place definitely wouldn't be admin. That's the thing. But we don't know much about
yeah,
Volma. Is the
yeah,
thing.
I think I might be thinking of low cost juice when I was hesitating.
Oh, Vector's present. uh,
The
Not
thing
sure
is,
yet if it
I
is
do
at
think
its height. Ah.
I do wonder if we can tie in admin government, and I think like it states especially to, and I think this might only be applicable of the Last Alliance start date, but to Anarike, when the um, admirals come together, they kind of form this council, if I'm correct. I'm not sure, but that could be interesting if you just have like these, because we're getting co-emperors as well, and surely I'm coping so hard, but surely
Don't
they will
say
allow
it.
us
No.
to to define more than a co-emperor. What about a tri-emperor?
Oh, I
Or
thought you were
no,
about to say
no.
that we should make Volmaz co-emperor the Utum coder.
Oh my word, no. That's too far even for me.
No, it's fantastic. This must be done. This must be done.
Someone stop this man. He's gone mad.
uh, well, um, I should probably continue reading, but yes. Vector, you are lucky to not be in this one because we Jocko and I are having to viciously fight off these voracious fools who want to make all sorts of random factions around the map into admin governments. We're trying our best, but they just can't understand. They can't understand. Hmm.
You
Admin.
simply do not
I mean,
understand the power
okay.
of admin orcs.
Dark. I'm gonna need to try. I'm gonna need to try once we get our hands on this code. I'm gonna need to try looking at what I can do with this government stuff, modding stuff that they'll ability, new mod ability that will be added with this update. Because if it works well enough, and I can, if there's enough stuff I can work with, I will definitely just change oligarchy to be an actual like different government type that would be like our vanilla, like just our, it would be our own like slightly different version of admin so that we can use it, um no, not admin honin. No. Okay, Trig. If you don't know about admin orcs, but Mordor under Sauron should be admin. What you're not seeming to understand here is that that means you have admin orcs then. Ah! Vector, why do they all want us to have noble families of orcs spending influence? The woodmen are tribal.
But don't you understand?
Wood-
Gothmog was clearly an
oh.
administrative character.
Looks like meat's back on the menu. We we have noble families of orcs right now. Yes, we do. But the difference is that right now you get that feel like they're constantly getting challenged by members of their court for their position and they get overthrown all the time and they don't and you're not having them all like, oh yes, this is our estate and we need to build up influence by scheming and depose like the governor of this place and then have spend all this influence with Sauron to get him to put me and my cousin in charge of these locations. You can't have playable landed characters without a dynasty. You can't have playable landed characters without a dynasty, and you can't have a playable admin government without estates. That's how it works. So we can't just say Sauron has admin government. Like we would just need to make orcs unplayable. And what the hell is the point of that? What's the point of that? It's quite simply a case of what we have right now is the best way we can. It's the best compromise because we do not want to have a situation where Sauron is like, yes, which orc is the most administratively minded individual to run my civilian, my civilian governorship? Yes, yes. Not enough people on the team care about orcs. I'm not sure what we could do even if more of us did care.
Yeah. But I mean, he is correct. I don't think anyone cares about orcs
Duke
because
does, and I kind of like goblins.
he cares about goblins. Okay, sure, they're orcs, but I mean they're in a subsect of Snaga, so Duke technically cares about Snaga
No,
and
we
not
don't want. No, Trig, we don't
purebred.
want Sauron to prefer people to orcs for positions. We don't want him to start being like, yes, I shall assign a Black Numenorian here and a Nerniag here, and oh, I've got this random woodman who I converted to an evil faith. I will assign him to this corner here. Bryce would have a meltdown. He's the main person on the team who is convinced that orcs can't be commanded by humans. It would not work. Um, does prefer people canonically. I mean, yes, he does like humans. I know he thinks orcs are disgusting, but uh, yes, we should go back to the dev diary. Yes. Not to rule orcs, but to run things. Well, then what if he's not? If they're running things, and that thing that they're running is a region full of orcs, then that means they're ruling orcs. What are you talking about? Oh my god. No, not admin Saruman either for the exact same reason. God damn.
All
Uh,
these people are just trying to give Joffrey like a mental breakdown.
it would not be good for him to start landing all of his Nazgul trig. No, we actively don't want him. We don't want. Just because people like him, like the Nazgul, doesn't mean we want them being landed. We actively stopped Cora Hill from being landed in Nirn. All right. I've had enough. I've had enough of picking on Trig. I shall return to picking on you more later. Hmm. The Nazgul are weapons, not administrators. That is their strength. Yes. Bella, if everyone want there's it's very very likely that we'll just disable the ability for Nazgul to be played as landless adventurers. I highly doubt that we will give them the adventurer the ability to be adventurers. That would just be silly. Well, no, no. Why would you be able to just play as Corhill and just be like, I feel like going off on an adventure by myself over to the fucking Dune Sea.
Yeah, I mean,
Admin
arguably
Abercon?
playing it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, arguably playing as the Nazgul adventurer will mean you can even do less than what they currently are, because I mean, thinking of an adventure, like the most likely things, because we saw like in a screenshot that they do have activities, you probably have like hunts, feast, and like a few other things, but you don't have a court, so any core activities. You can't do hunts or feast as Nazgul anyways, so those activities are out. Why you wouldn't do contracts, because why would a Nazgul go have hell build Nerniags build a windmill? So playing as a Nazgul adventurer would literally be, I exist, that's my gameplay. Thank you.
Hmm. James, I know you're saying
Like
that
the
admin Abercon is a joke, but I still haven't solidified with Vector what's the new face of modern Abercon is supposed to be. So, hmm,
hashtag Prius of Nazgul.
hmm, Who's to say the Black Vizier couldn't be running an administrative realm in Abercon in the modern date?
True, true.
Vector, we
And
must
he's
cook
a
later.
co-emperor.
We must cook.
Yeah,
We must do Abercon cooking at some point, but I've got so many bloody things to do. Actually, maybe wait. No, no, I don't want to bother you. You hate talking about Abercon. uh, reveals the Nazgul don't function very well. Not that they can't, just not well as day-to-day rulers of humans on account of their terror fields. Just being near them does in fact make people very spooked. Yes. Um. All right. Now, okay. Moving along because this was supposed to be a shorter one. But it's 40 minutes already. Um. Hmm. No matter whether it's the allied city-states of the Lombard League asserting their independence from imperial suzerainty in northern Italy, or the Iron Men marching eastwards to wage holy war at the urging of the men of the cloth, or a young man of as yet untapped potential named Temujin beginning to make a name for himself on the steppes. We will relentlessly and enthusiastically take advantage of everything 1178 brings to the table whenever and wherever the opportunity occurs. And please don't take the above as indication of any specific plans for future expansions or the order in which they may or may not appear. hmm. Interesting that
Nomad
he
DLC next year confirmed. Trust.
very interesting that he deliberately points out that he's totally not saying them in any particular order, that the allied city-states of the Lombard League in Italy. That's total, yeah,
Yeah,
that's definitely
I
not
am
related to anything. Or the
I am hoping so hard,
Crusades. He's the,
but
he's,
uh,
mm,
I've got three guesses for next year's like big expansion: Crusades, um, Republics, or Nomad. Because 1178 just it needs one of those three. Because the whole of Italy is just a republic. It's like, oh, you want to play Italy? You can't. Like, just go into a different start date. So
the stream can't
I'm
be,
hoping very hard.
the stream can't be 7 hours long because I have work, and once I finish this, I intend to play Elden Ring before work as well. Um, I wanted to get through this fast, but then I
Yeah,
needed to
yeah, come on,
debate
come on,
bro the
read, read.
chat.
Yeah.
Vector's doing a great job for us right now. But I do that I do like that this theoretically is a hint to city states, Italian city states, crusades being expanded upon, so like holy orders, and then steppes, the steppe tribes as
Yeah, definitely.
totally not an order. But I would very much believe this would be an order. I believe that for sure. Um, yeah. Merely highlighted a few aspects I personally find compelling and take it instead as a declaration of our intent to make sure that 1178 remains a vital, thriving, and fully integrated and fun part of your Crusader Kings gameplay experience from here on out. Hopefully this has given you a bit more insight to the logic. Alright. Call of the Empire. That's actually what they call it. Oh, Call of the Empire. Hmm. Joffrey fast stream? That would never happen. Lots of YouTubers leave the stream room just to turn on a YouTube video for their chat to watch. Ah, I wonder who you'd be referencing with that, Dark. It's the next step to becoming a big streamer is just me leaving on like just a full feature-length film.
What do you mean? Surely you just stream Rings of Power.
Yeah. Ah, yeah. All right. Well, you did list the three obvious ones first, so I'll that fair enough. Um, no, I like QXC. I like QXC. No, keep it that way. Hmm. Yeah, the Seljuks are here. Yes, we've got Princess Tamar. Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff going on. The Georgian Golden Age is on its way. Huh. Since Roads to Power is the expansion introducing admin government, let's take a look at the Call of the Empire. For the be particularly who may be unfamiliar with the particulars of this era, the Byzantine Empire is enjoying a resurgence under the rule of Manuel Komnenos. But the specter of his cousin Andronikos, an ambitious and reckless adventurer of preternatural charm, looms forebodingly over the prospects of Manuel's underage son and heir, young Alexios. Furthermore, the Byzantines have suffered a recent blow to their aspirations of reclaiming the Anatolian interior. Defeat at the Battle of Myriokephalon at the hands of the Seljuk Sultan are Arslan II, whose maiden name means Sword Lion. Oh. The great grandson of Suleiman ibn um reigned ably in both war and peace thus far, but an abundance of potential successors, no less than 11 sons, may bode poorly for the Sultanate's future stability. A more auspicious future may be in store for Princess Tamar Bagratuni, the eldest daughter of King Georgi III of Georgia, and another one of those historical figures who was an influencing factor in the start date. It was the year her father officially confirmed her as his successor after he'd put down the rebellion of the Orbelli family. Historically, her subsequent rule over Georgia marked her as one of its greatest rulers. To quote the chronicle of her reign, the life of Tamar the Great, Queen of Queens. The entire world was full of her praise, and every language in which her name was pronounced exalted her. Governing along the Wallachian frontier of the empire, you'll find Ioannis Kantakouzenos. According to Nikitas, yeah, Historia, names. A man huge in size and most courageous of heart and with a booming voice. However, the historian goes on to add that despite Kantakouzenos' extensive military experience, his arrogance and impetuosity resulted in a failure more often than success. A bit of interesting genealogical trivia. The 14th Byzantine emperor is of the same name, descended from a cousin of Ioannis. Huh? Oh, The early genealogy of the Paleolo guy is more than a little Byzantine, pardon the pun. And so I'll clarify that our Alexios Paleologos, governor of Bulgaria, is the Alexios Paleologos who was the grandfather of the future Michael Emperor. I don't know enough. This is so confusing. And not his younger cousins of the same name. The Byzantines were not renowned for their inventive choice in names. I guess they got that from the Roman ancestors. Who was historically best known for the association with the emperor, Alexios Angelos. And lastly, we have Andronikos Angelos. Getting messages from work. Accepting the history. Sizable family. Exhibiting authentic Byzantine inconsistency in what surname they prefer to use. The Angeloi are a sizable family by contemporary standards and well placed to stack the empire's officials with their kindred. Well, I guess that will be probably one of my more interesting. The Angelos family of Epirus sounds like they'd be one of my more favorite folks to play. Oh my gosh. No, no. God damn it. Hmm. Before we get into detail on Swords of Faith, do you want to be transparent that an overhaul for Crusades themselves is not a component in this expansion? Yeah, that's something that's would need more more than possible as a second billing and expansion. Very different mechanical focus. We know it's important to you, so it's important that we'll make sure that we deliver what we deliver meets or exceeds your expectations. Yeah, so it really does sound to me like that it will be kind of the order they go in, where the republics would be the next thing they'd want to do. As far as government stuff goes, they want to make those actually playable, and then go and rework Crusades. Hmm. The Angelos' family was literally the worst family in Roman history by far. Oh no. Oh no. The last one just betrayed the Empire to the Fourth Crusade. Oh no. No, they would never do. No, no. No, the Crusades very much going to be their own DLC. Same with Republics, I imagine.
Yeah, honestly, I would prefer them being their own DLC because it would mean they would put more effort into it. Versus them just like offhandedly being like, yeah, we did like a minor update to Crusades and this is it. Good luck.
Ah, a lot of the names in this bookmark will seem more familiar because the Kingdom of Heaven movie, the CK3 mod by the same name. Though set a few years earlier than the events adapted by the film. We have the leprous Baldwin IV ruling his Crusader kingdom of Jerusalem with immense dignity and dedication despite his dreadful affliction. Although our historical Baldwin is a baron from the beginning and not a blacksmith. Balian. Balian. Oh, is that like the protagonist? I don't remember. I don't remember. The protagonist of the movie, the blacksmith, and
I think
they've
so, yeah.
added him as a baron. That's interesting. Hmm. Hmm. Given the nature of his malady, particular attention must be paid to his heir, his eldest sister Sibylla, who is historically, and conveniently for us, between husbands in this particular year. Although historically Baldwin would be succeeded by Sibylla's son, also named Baldwin, before Sibylla herself. At this point, she was still being treated as the presumptive successor over the newborn infant. In addition, while bouncing baby Baldwin takes after his father's dynasty at the start of the game, or not. As Sibylla, you'll get an event shortly to let you determine which side of his parentage he ought to take after. Rounding out the Jerusalemite cast is Raymond de Toulouse, son of a murdered father Nizari. Assassins happened. Brother to a spurned sister, Basilis Manuel happened. Yes. A regent of the kingdom during Baldwin IV's minority, who had previously endured nearly a decade of captivity in a Zengid prison. Oh, jeez. The ruler of the county of Tripoli, the future of these lands is inexorably intertwined with that of the kingdom of Jerusalem itself. Oh. Raymond, I do think I remember that name as well. Hmm. I hmm. So I guess I don't I don't understand. Wait. Oh. Wait. So the baby takes after his father's son. Oh, okay. So Sibylla's son takes after I don't know who she's married to, but the idea is that she is the heir apparent at game start for Baldwin, but for her she is able to decide that her baby is going to be of she can just decide that it's going to be of Baldwin's line so that you don't get game over and lose Baldwin's family. That makes sense. It's a little weird, but for the sake of gameplay, I appreciate that. What mention of Jerusalem would be made without acknowledging the exceptional character of Salah ad-Din Yusuf, the last vizier to the Fatimid caliphs and the first Ayyubid Sultan of Egypt. Of all our bookmark characters in the start date, he perhaps requires the least introduction. I agree. His victory over the Crusades at the Battle of Hattin and the reconquest of Jerusalem in 1187 would soon lead to the launch of the famous Third Crusade in response. As an additional point of interest, I'd like to mention that we've made some slight adjustments to how names are structured, in that Salah ad-Din, his famous honorific meaning righteousness of the faith, is now a prefix nickname. Previously, many such honorifics were treated as components of given names and could be inherited as such. And so, in the interest of accuracy and better representation, we've gone through and reassigned a great many of them as historic nicknames instead. Segueing into our next bookmark character, Muzaffar ad-Din Gokbori. Okay. Is one of the preeminent military commanders in the service to the Zengids. The Zengids are a bit of an underdog, I believe, in this situation, though. Deposed and exiled from his fief of Erbil in favor of his younger brother, Gokbori presently rules in Haran, but historically would go on to betray the Zengids and join forces with Salah ad-Din. I mean, who wouldn't at that point? And even playing a key role at the Battle of Hattin to reclaim his patrimony, which he ruled prosperously until his death on the eve of the Mongol invasions. Ah, wonderful. Truly a man with an excellent sense of timing. Prefix nicknames could be interesting, yes. If it wasn't for the Third Crusade, there wouldn't have been a Fourth Crusade. Whoa! If only Saladin hadn't, if only he didn't conquer Jerusalem, then the Roman Empire could still be alive. Sniff, sniff. Ah, Levon, the ruler of Armenian Cilicia. Oh boy. Historically, Reuben III is remembered as a kind and humane ruler, but one of the retiring character who abdicated in Levon's favor. Perhaps noblest deed of all was for Levon would be crowned the first true king of Armenian Cilicia, and thoroughly earn the appellation Metzegorts, which is commonly translated as the Magnificent or the Great. Okay, so he was crowned the first king of Cilicia, and he was called the Great. Okay. It could also be read as the thaumaturge in the sense of one who performs marvels. Okay. Ah. Tell us about the. Yes, I want to know about this abomination. It's been an immense personal pleasure to play a part in bringing 1178 to fruition, and I truly hope you've enjoyed today's look at our new start date, because we're not done just yet. You see, my mandate is to tell you all about the new start date, and that just means I have no alternative but to tell you about all the other interesting parts of it too, doesn't it? Yes, please do. I want to know about England. Please tell. Henry II of England has imprisoned his wife, Eleanor of Aquitaine, for inciting his sons against him in a significantly more literal form of teenage rebellion than is typically meant by the term. Uh, Among said sons is the athletic 12th century tournament celebrity Henry, called Young King for having been crowned during his father's reign. Leonine Richard, yes, smooth-tongued Geoffrey, and young John, who would go on to enjoy such harmonious relations with his vassals during his reign that they enthusiastically invited the future King of France to replace him. Wow! In this period, the French are ruled by Louis the Seventh, the former husband of Eleanor of Aquitaine, and perhaps better known as the younger than the young at this particular stage in his life. Louis's eldest daughter is married to one of his preeminent vassals, Henry the Liberal, ruler of Champagne, who contributed greatly to the expansion of the famous and prosperous Champagne fairs. Meanwhile, in the south, the heretical Cathar creed has taken hold in the lands of Raymond Toulouse, which would soon lead to the Albigensian Crusade. Yes, yes, Cathars, yes, fun. Yes, yes, Brittany is in a rough state. Very sad. Richard the Ruinous. Hmm. The formidable Hohenstaufen Holy Roman Emperor Frederick Barbarossa Redbeard, after the color of his, well, you get the idea, is rivaled within his realm only by Heinrich the Lion, duke over both Saxony and Bavaria. The feud between their families gave rise to the enduring labels Guelph, after Heinrich's house of Guelph, and the Ghibellines, after the Hohenstaufen castle of Weibelingen. Huh. Within the empire. I'd like to draw your particular attention to Berthold von Andrex, patriarch of an interesting and mildly obscure family that rose high in both the empire and Hungary, and then burned out and went extinct within only a few generations. Hmm. Yes, I do. I will enjoy some Welf gameplay. He is a based Duke of Angria as opposed to being listed as the Duke of Bavaria. Some 50 years passed, a young Afonso the Conqueror knighted himself on Pentecost in the Cathedral of Zamora, assembled a host beneath the banner of rebellion, and proceeded to emancipate himself from his mother and her Galician lover in near legendary fashion, triumphing over them in the Battle of Salmamende. For anyone else, this might have been enough adventure for a lifetime, but for Afonso this was only the prologue. He would soon become the first founding king of Portugal, Now in his twilight years, Alfonso had largely handed over management of the kingdom's affairs to his favorite daughter, Teresa, named curiously after his mother. Oh God, Aragon's borders, no! No! No, why? Why? Hmm. Aragon is genuinely the ugliest realm that Paradox has ever made in CK3. Oh, it's absolutely horrendous. Oh,
I don't know what any of you
oh.
guys are talking about. It is a beautiful realm.
Choco, no!
This
It's
is
really
this
bad.
is this is what CK3 gamers want. Everyone knows.
CK3 gamers only want one thing, and it's fucking disgusting.
Exactly.
Sharing the name of the Portuguese monarch are Alphonse the Troubadour, King of Aragon, and Alfonso the Eighth, King of Castile. Of the two, the former has managed to expand his realm to encompass territories well beyond the Pyrenees. Yeah, yeah, possessing lands of his own in the south of France, as well as having seated his brother in Provence. Although said brother would soon be murdered after embroiling himself in war with the lords of Languedoc, it is the latter Alfonso, however, who will earn enduring fame as the future victor over the Almohad army at the Battle of Las Navas de Tolosa. Jumping now to another corner of the map, the historically last of the Seljuk sultans of Persia, Togrul is still a child, with true power in the realm resting in the hands of Yah Jahan Pahlavan Mohammed, the Atabeg of Azerbaijan, subjugator of the rebellious princes and emirs, and one of my personal favorite among the start date. So honorific incidentally can be translated as hero of the world. Immediately east of the dwindling Seljuks is the realm of the Gurids, who were powerful where power is presently split between Muhammad of Ghor and his older brother, who is technically also Muhammad of Ghor. They share a given name. Of the two, the younger is more famous, and its exploits into India would ultimately give rise to the Delhi Sultanate. Oh God! Only a few decades later. In opposition to the Gurids, it is Prithviraj the Third Khan, whose resistance against the foreign invaders earned him a legendary reputation and has perhaps had more films made about him than anyone else in this list. Ah, I believe it with how many movies India makes. Yes, the exclave in France is the biggest problem, yeah. Hmm. And then, all the way out in this corner, lastly, even further to the east, as mentioned earlier, you'll find a young man named Temujin Borjigin, who will soon earn himself another appellation, one to make all the world tremble. Genghis Khan. Need I say more? Oh boy. Oh boy. Baby Genghis Khan is adorable. You want to get just squish? Yo, he's 16. He's 16 and he's already got adventurer and shrewd. He is ready for action. I don't think he should. I'm pretty sure at this start date he is still wandering around, yeah, trying to not get himself killed by rival tribes who hated his father. I don't think he should have managed to take control of any tribes yet. But you know what? I guess we could give him some leniency. Hmm. The almost very definitely real final conclusion. Okay, sure, buddy. This time, truly, we've reached the end. The list of those I've named is by no means exhaustive. I could easily name a good dozen more, and don't even get me started on Montferrat. But if I start thinking of more names, we really will be here all day. And I fully expect you'll turn up countless more interesting figures to play as or against. However, there's still one more thing the team would like to share with you today, and it's something I'm pretty happy about too. A special message. Message settings. What the heck? Before we go, something coming with a free update. Message settings. You'll be able to customize the appearance of a variety of common interface messages to your heart's desire. Okay. Messages are now sorted into filter groups. Oh, how each group should appear is now up to you as either a tried and true toast message banner, like at the top of the screen, a familiar feed message that appears in the notification feed on the right, or a pop-up window, a new addition, being disabled entirely. Ah, interesting. So there's stuff that's never mentioned. It's like close family becomes a concubine, never mentioned. Oh, hooks on me. Hmm. Dynasty Splendor, Dynasty Perks, new nickname. As you might have noticed, it is also possible per filter group to set whether the game should automatically be paused. New nickname. You are now known as the Great. It is possible, thanks to a new and fully moddable database of message filter types that may be freely edited or expanded upon. Hmm. Sound effect, toast sound effect, good. Super important message. So icon, title. Hmm. Okay. Vassal directives. Oh. Oh. Should make him landless. Oh God. Oh God. People want to play as him. Yeah. People want to play as Genghis Khan. You will now be able to give directives to your vassals, presuming that they respect you. Directives are either given from the character interaction menu or via the Vassals tab in my realm, the latter having the benefit of showing you the current directive. All government types can issue directives to their vassals. In the picture is the Holy Roman Emperor doing it. Promote culture or faith, cultural acceptance, construct military economic fortification
Oh,
building.
you have this. Yeah, this is the part I say was exciting.
Oh,
Yeah, it's and
oh,
they show it later, but it's slightly changed for admin government. So you'll see with
oh,
the
that's
next
great.
picture and stuff they explain.
Damn. Vassal's doing what I want them to do, finally. You want them to crank up the development? Tell them to focus on economic buildings. You want them to focus on making the border as fortified as possible? Fortification. You've got a lot of different cultures in your realm, and you want to start being able to create hybrid cultures and cause people to actually get along. Cultural acceptance. You want to start homogenizing the realm? Promote culture and faith. Bada bing, bada boom. I think that's gonna be very handy because, especially in the case of promoting, I see you just hovering over promote culture, for example. It's very rare that the AI does promote culture. So you
Yeah,
being able to just
fully.
tell them to do it is a big deal.
I get a jump
Oh.
scare every time I see a culture divergence from the AI. I'm like, oh crap, my
Yeah,
game crashed. It's like, oh no, never mind. It's just AI.
Yeah. I suppose all of the I suppose all of the those black Numenorian stands out there will finally be able to demand
Oh,
that their vassals focus on culture conversion.
disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
And maybe this will you'll be though oh we could add one of these for encourage elven settlement, for example.
That's what I was thinking. Not
Yeah.
specifically for Elven Settlement, but I recommend in the lounge. It would be pretty cool if we could have this for the settle wastelands for vassals. So enable vassals getting wastelands. So you can be like, hey, listen, focus on actually colonizing like Arnor, which
But
I
his
think could be
vassals
really
can't
cool.
prior his vassals can't colonize.
No, no, no. But like what I mean is like make it so vassals, AI vassals can colonize
Oh,
with
oh,
using this directive. Yeah. So they normally wouldn't,
oh.
but then you're like, hey, listen, I want you to like breed your peasants so you can settle more land.
We still we still need to yeah, we could definitely look at that. Um we could definitely look at that being a thing. Um one person being particularly against something doesn't mean we can't do it, Trig. Um if that was the case, we'd never get anything done.
Yeah.
Um do, 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 do. Uh hmm. Hmm. As it sounds good, Trig. We can divvy up who has to argue with Bryce about which thing we want. Spreads the load. Huh. But then, very interesting. Hmm. Converting to the vassal's culture and faith seems like how it would work. It does say the wrong direction. Yeah, it does say he is Saxon. It specifies that. So promote culture. It is in fact promoting their own culture. So if you tell them to focus on promoting culture, you want to make sure that they're your culture or faith if you're telling them to do such a thing. Um, hmm, well, means at least when you colonize Arnor, you can give it all to Dunedain and then have Dunedain Arnor. No! Don't convert! Don't tell them to convert the hobbits, no!
He clearly misspoke. He clearly meant to say he was going to give it all to hobbits and have the Shire Reich. I mean, the communist Shire.
Yeah, totally. Would be useful for a dwarf or elven realm with human vassals. Yes, it would. It would indeed. Um, yeah. As I had mentioned, we could give because dwarves. If you're landing dwarves, if you're playing a dwarf and you got all these you want the dwarves to actually convert the culture. Uh, Mind you, the AI still for some reason never replaces buildings. So when you have a dwarf landed in human lands, I swear we need to like make. I wonder how difficult it would be to give dwarves a version of elven settlement so that they can like convert a county and replace the buildings so that they can actually use it. Hmm. I don't know. Hmm. It's just a massive pain because the dwarves can never actually make use of any above ground counties they conquer. Ah, I'll have to think about that. So many things like that are annoying. Um, Reinforce the difference between administrative realms as a brother. Um, Give vassal directive. You issue a directive to her. At least one of the following. She needs to have administrative government. So if they're admin, you could just do it for free. She needs to, or she can have 50 opinion of you, be trusting, be loyal, be friends with you, be lovers with you, have a strong hook on her, have the absolute control perk, or the honor to serve perk. Oh. Or absolute crown
Honor,
law, or have 5 legitimacy. So there's lots of ways you can do it. That's not hard, but
yeah. Honor
you
to
know,
serve perk. What?
I don't remember where that perk is.
I know absolute control is martial, but um oh, but pretty cool. Like, wait, you'll get to it. But some of the dev responses are also pretty cool. Um, once you get to them.
As you can tell from the requirements, it's not too easy to make them follow your orders. You have to work your way to a high-level crown authority, pursue specific lifestyles, or gain significant opinion with them. That's not that hard. No, 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 it's not like any of those
Yeah,
are particular. It's like if it was more than one, that would be. If it was like at least a couple, that would be more rough. If you no longer fulfill the trigger, you no longer be able to directly to follow your directive until you regain their trust. Directives are inherited, so you will not have to worry about setting them again as your vassals die. So,
that's
or
nice. I think
so
that's
all right, that's very good. Yeah, you don't have to reset it every time. It's not like, oh, their opinion of you dipped below plus 50. Oops, now you have to reset it once you get them to above 50 again. Um,
yeah.
hmm. Kind of think you should have two of the criteria, if not admin. I would agree with that, to be honest. Of course, if you're administrative, then following the directives you set is simply your vassal job. They will only ever refuse your directives if they are your rival, but otherwise you're free to set any directive you wish. They're fully baked into the admin government's UI to maximize visibility. Oh, and administrative also has access to 3 more directives: improve development, boost men-at-arms, and recruit men-at-arms. Oh, all significantly more powerful than the default set. I do like the idea of a just increased development. Yeah, improved development. They'll focus on that. Huh. Hmm. Very nice indeed. Oh, choose a new destiny. That's right. In previous Dev Diaries, we gathered some feedback regarding the upcoming Choose a New Destiny feature, where it seemed as if a popular addition would be to add a random mode. If you're not interested in any of the 3 options, you can now choose to let the die of fate determine your destiny for you. A random landed child, a random descendant, a random close family member, a random family member, a random dynasty member. Yes! A random ruler, a random new adventurer. Yes! Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, I would love to be able to just click, yep, just give me a random character. Give me a random new adventurer. Give me a random dynasty member. Oh, that's fantastic. That's great. Hmm. Kind of think you should have 2 of the criteria. Yep, yep. Should give Gondor the make more men at arms directive. Uh, Help us avoid game overs in the next mega. If someone has a game over, yeah, press. You get these buttons. Directive seems geared only towards admins where you can borrow vassals, men at arms. Yeah, yeah. It would be a little silly for you to, for no apparent reason, tell your vassals to recruit more men at arms as Gondor. If anything, you don't want them to be stronger when they're feudal subjects. We based the choice on what we could gather of popular fantasies and added some for good measure. Yes. The chance to become an adventurer is roughly 50% there. Yeah. Nice. Several different options are available. Some restrictions still apply, such as being of your dynasty and keeping the difficulty reasonable. Anything above extremely hard is essentially a game over situation. And that's everything for today. I sincerely thank you all for your time and attention, and hope you found today's Dev Diary interesting, and that you're looking forward to Rose to Power as much as I am, and especially 1178. I say with a deep and profound personal and professional bias. We still have a few Dev Diaries to go ahead of the release of Rose to Power, but it'll be a bit longer until the next one. It's now the start of the Swedish summer break. Oh boy. And so I
Yeah,
will be temporarily parting ways until the team returns in early August. We intend to make it worth the wait, though. When we come back, we'll be showing off another major feature that I think you'll find very intriguing. Landless Adventurers. Oh boy! Oh,
yeah.
that's going to be a big one, yes. Until then, if you have any questions about today's topics, I'll be here and do my best to answer.
Hmm.
Yeah, I am really very excited to learn more about Landless Adventurers. Oh, hmm. My highlight, Vassal orders. That's just, yeah. That. I don't care. Forget the start date. You can command your vassals now. I can tell my Bella Karani vassals to convert all the Bella Ks to the correct way. uh, Landless Adventurers will probably be like the CK2 system, where claimants can raise armies despite being landless. Yes, I imagine so, and I very much am looking forward to that. Ugh, gosh. Whew. I don't. Hmm. Times three. Ah, how much? With how much time we spent on this, I don't even know if I want to be going through all of these. Um,
It's mostly minor responses. If you want to skip it, you're not going to miss anything major. The like biggest one was one guy suggested like have because there was like an opinion thing with the vassal directives where it was like have more than 50 opinion, and one guy was like it could be pretty cool, if the opinion requirement changed depending on their traits. So if they're like callous and wrathful, you would instead need 80 or higher opinion. But if they're trusting, you would need 30, for instance. And
that makes
then the
sense.
dev responded, yeah, that was essentially the dev's response. I was like, yeah, that could be pretty cool. I'll add it to the docket list of adding.
Hmm. Yeah, getting someone to plus 50 opinion of you would be a rather easy way for a lot of smaller countries to do it, because it's pretty easy for someone with even passing diplomacy to cause their vassals to not despise you, as long as they're not horrible people. So as long as you're an average
Yeah,
character with average vassals in an average sized realm, it's not hard to get people to have very positive opinions of you, especially if you do any sort of like feasts and such. So and are actually trying to sway people. Um,
I mean, do one feast and most vassals would already have fairly high opinion of you.
right. But with that, then I suppose we'll skip out on. Yeah, well, of course, Joffrey in Realms in Exile would never listen to your directives. He would probably, you see, he's paranoid. He'd probably think that you've got some ulterior motive. Yes. Why do you want me to increase development? Hmm? You're up to something.
Have have the peasants rise up against you, clearly.
Right. But with that, I think I am going to end. We can wrap this up here, Jocko, I believe. And I've got some food to make. Yeah, yes, yeah, time to wear red masks. So I've got some food to be munching on, and then some Elden Ring to be playing before I go to work later. Yes. So, thank you all for watching and joining us to discuss and debate stuff relating to this DLC. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.